Hello and welcome to 5 Things to Know, a Tax Talk Today exclusive. I'm joined today by Terry Lemons. Terry is the Chief Communication Liaison Division and oversees the offices of Communication, Legislative Affairs, Stakeholder Liaison, and National Public Liaison. Terry, on behalf of our viewers, it's my pleasure to welcome you back to Tax Talk Today, where the IRS representatives and tax industry leaders come together to share their knowledge and experience working with federal tax law. As a career practitioner, I do really appreciate the work of CNL's communications and outreach and to promote understanding of agencies' missions and goals. Speaking of which, when you joined us last November, we discussed the National Tax Security Awareness Week. What are some of the key programs taking place this year?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alan. This is an annual event that takes place with the IRS as well as our partners out in the states and among the tax professional community as well as the private sector, software companies and financial firms that are involved in the tax system. This annual event basically focuses on raising awareness about tax security. One of the things that the entire tax community dealt with back in 2015 was really a global rise, a tidal wave of identity theft that swept through. And in response to that, we formed this group called the Security Summit. And the Security Summit, basically, we teamed up a private public sector collaboration to improve our defenses against identity theft. But we quickly discovered that we needed more help, and that was help from taxpayers and tax professionals to strengthen their defenses as well. So it's really a joint effort with taxpayers, tax professionals, and the industry working together to protect against identity theft.
Great. Now, we're all required to have a WISP, a Written Information Security Plan. When it comes to information security for tax professionals, what are some critical things that we should be aware of going into the new year?
The Written Information Security Plan, or WISP, I mean, we like our acronyms at the IRS. The WISP really has a great place for people to go and get basic information. The WISP is a great starter guide that can give you tips on what you can do. Going into tax season, though, this is a prime time for scam artists and identity thieves, and they love targeting the tax professional community. We are anticipating once again this year that we're going to see an uptick in the new client scam. This is one where you'll get an email. If you're a tax professional, you'll get an email coming in saying, hey, I'm interested in you preparing my return. And, they start engaging in a back and forth dialogue over email, but it's really an attempt to basically gain access to the tax professional systems and the treasure trove of data that they contain of their clients. So we are really encouraging tax professionals to be on the lookout for fishy looking emails coming in from people trying to be new clients. A little extra caution is in order.
I've seen those emails, and it generally come, well, my last year's return is attached, or here's my information for this year, and that right there is the flag that just raises in my office. Can you tell us what to expect at this upcoming Security Summit?
Yeah, for our special week, we're going to have a whole series of public-facing events. It's going to be anchored by daily news releases running between December 2nd and December 6th. They're going to be focused on a variety of topics: the dangers of phishing emails, the rise of social media scams and bad tax advice that are out on social media. We're also really encouraging people to sign up for an identity protection pin. This is something one of our advisory groups called our secret weapon to combat identity theft, and also our online account at the IRS. A lot of people don't realize we've added some new features onto our online account. We want taxpayers to sign up for that. We'll also have some warnings and reminders for not just tax professionals, but also small businesses to help them protect themselves and their important information.
Great. Now, what are the latest materials important for tax professionals to use that are available?
I think the most important thing really goes back to that written information security plan, the WISP. We're still seeing, some tax professionals, particularly smaller ones, who don't have a copy of that. And the reality of it is there is a federal requirement that they have it. So the Security Summit team, which was composed of tax professionals, went out, they spent a couple of years developing a blueprint for a WISP that any tax professional can tailor for their own practice. So we're really continuing to encourage people to go in and take a look at that. And we've got a bunch of information up on our website that will help tax professionals protect themselves. And the other thing that we have is we'll continue sharing information out through our various lanes, social media, e-news for tax professionals. It's a weekly summary of hot items for the tax professional community. We encourage people to sign up for that email on irs.gov.
Finally, Terry, please tell us some of the latest tips tax professionals should know and actions they can take.
It's really important for tax professionals to remember the basics. And that is doing basic things like making sure their software is updated, their security is updated, backing up files on a daily basis. I mean, any kind of disaster could hit a tax professional or any business. I mean, it could be, a wildfire, a hurricane, or it could be an identity thief. So it's a really good idea to back up your information. The other thing that's really important, we continue to hear stories from tax professionals across the country about how they're being targeted by scammers and identity thieves. Make sure you're spending time educating your employees. Your defenses are only as strong as your least educated employee. You cannot overlook that. These identity thieves are really good at sending out emails. They pay attention to the tax calendar. And it's something that, you really have to stay on your guard about. So I think those are some of the key tips, Alan.
That's great. Terry, you brought up some very valid points, and I think it's important to recognize that this is for our seasoned employees, but more importantly, the new people that we bring in, especially in admin. Somebody that wants to get their foothold in the industry, they tend to be wanting to do everything they can to make sure they're a good employee, and that's potentially where something could happen in these situations. I've seen it in other practices as well. Well, this has been really great, Terry. Thank you so much for joining us on Five Things to Know. On behalf of our viewers, I'd like to thank you for your service as Chief of CNL Division. Your work in this role really benefits the IRS, the tax practitioner community, as well as our nation's taxpayers. Thanks again, and we look forward to having you back on another Tax Talk Today program. Thank you all for watching. And as always, this has been really great learning with you. Be sure to join us again on an upcoming Tax Talk Today program.